That is my biggest concern about people losing large sums of money because they were told that this is a safe investment, that they're going to make money no matter what. And for me, that's a scam. That raises a red flag.
Well, I say a few things. Number one, Bitcoin has been around since, 2008, 2009, and so far it has not crashed. I would never tell anybody to put their whole, savings or their kids' college fund or their mortgage payment in this. Whatever they can afford to put away for a little while, put that away as a safe investment. Whatever happens during that time happens. I mean, do not, put everything you got into this. But as you see it grow and you get a little more and more a handle on it, do as much as you can to get as much as you can out. Make your money back and play with the house's money as usual, and then keep on going over and over and over again. I would never tell anyone to put all their eggs in one basket.
So let's talk shop here for a moment. I want you to explain the Bitcoin, because you can buy. Well, let me do this. Let me go to New York, where John is a crypto trader, and he has some questions for you, Rodney. John in New York, you're on there. Thank you for calling.
Good evening, Armstrong. I've been in Bitcoin since around 300, and I'm going to speed through a couple of things that I wanted to get across to you. First of all, anybody can pretty much get in to start trading cryptocurrency. You can download an app called Coinbase for one. There's lots of apps, but you can download one called Coinbase. You can link it to one of your bank accounts. You can put a couple of $100 or whatever you feel comfortable investing into, let's say, Bitcoin, Ethereum, or Litecoin. And then if the market it goes up, like for instance, I got some of my friends into Bitcoin around 5,000. Now Bitcoin is right now around 15,000. It goes up and down because there's a lot of volatility. There's a lot of people selling. You never know when they're going to sell, because it was like 19,000 like 2 weeks ago. Now the thing about it is they've gained a lot of money since they got in below Bitcoin 5,000. Now, the opposite is also true. It's also possible, obviously, to lose money. Like, for instance, if you get in at 19,000 and it drops to 15,000, yeah, you've just lost some money. But I just want to say a couple of real quick things. First of all, we aren't talking about cryptocurrency is designed so that some countries can actually break free of the U.S. dollar and the IMF, the global banking centralized systems, right? Zimbabwe was one of the first. Venezuela is starting a petrol coin, which I want to buy into, because what they're doing is they're in gallons of oil, because they're trying to get away from U.S. sanctions. North Korea just announced, and you wouldn't even hear about this because they're too busy talking about Trump. North Korea and Russia are starting cryptocurrencies so that they can get away from U.S. sanctions, because the problem is there's no way America can monitor, there's no way they can track, and there's no way they can interfere with this money, because this money is globalized and this money is moving around completely anonymously, right? So cryptocurrency actually represents freedom from centralized banking. Now, if you take a look at the new tax bill, they're already trying to ruin it for Americans by making it so that you have to log every single transaction, which becomes almost impossible. Now, they can't do this to the international people, but they can do it to us here in America, and they can hit us with the IRS. So they're already trying to destroy cryptocurrency, its democratic values. They're trying to destroy it, and they're pretty much going to succeed. I made over $400,000 within the last 2 years. I'm here in New York City. Now, my problem is I'm afraid to spend any of it because I don't know what I'm going to owe come this new tax season. So a lot of my friends, I'm telling them not to spend any of the money that they have in Litecoin went up, because I got some of them into Litecoin when it was only 100, and it rose up to like, what was it, like 380. Now, the one thing I just want to say, the last thing I want to say, you have to, as I was saying, you have to be very careful how much money you put in. There are some people who are mortgaging off their houses at Bitcoin 5,000. Right now, they're up, but they mortgaged off their houses to buy into it. There are some people who've been buying on credit card, and they're down right now because when they bought in, Bitcoin was at a high. It was like 18, 19,000. So the problem is the government intervention right now is damaging our access to cryptocurrency. A lot of the third world countries, those people will have access to cryptocurrency. They will be able to move their money around because their own country's currency is worthless. So the important thing to remember, cryptocurrency make you some money if you treat it as a speculative asset. The problem is the government is hurting your access to it And on top of that, the regulations are going to make it so difficult for Americans to trade it because the government wants to control it because they're afraid people can launder drug money in it. They're afraid countries like North Korea and Russia can move money around their sanctions. But a lot of these third world countries, they're not going to take America's sanctions anymore. They are going to move to cryptocurrency.
Well, that's part of its history as well, is that it was traded on the Silk Road on the website, the drug market that was on the dark web. And I mean, that's how I originally heard about Bitcoin, was that's how people were using it to buy the drugs, and that it was so anonymous. So I mean, that is one of my biggest issues with it, is what are the implications of having a currency that you can trade anonymously?
Well, here's the thing that you got to, one thing you got to understand. Bitcoin works on the blockchain. The blockchain is impenetrable. It cannot be hacked. The problem is points of sale can be hacked. And the other problem is that there's a digital ledger that gets created. A good hacker can track transactions back to individual computers. And the problem is a lot of your personal information, like your bank accounts, for instance, is stored in that digital ledger. So even though they can't hack it, they can hack the point of sale. Even though they, like, for instance, they can't easily break into your, but they can steal your credit card and use it, or they could steal the numbers and use it. But as far as whether or not you can trust it, my thing is I get in and I don't stay in. Like, I have computers that used to mine Bitcoin and used to mine coins. The problem is, as time goes on, it becomes less and less efficient to mine, and you end up having to require a new and more powerful computer. Right now, there's so many people mining cryptocurrency that it basically is the amount of energy like your neighborhood uses in a year just to mine like one Bitcoin right now.
And the noise is so intense and so loud. You have to put it in a special place, and it's 24/7.
Well, I'll tell you, the last thing I want to say is right now you have a lot of people, because they see that the government is damaging Bitcoin, so they're moving to other ones that they've heard of, like Ripple and Vertcoin and Oriqua and whatnot. The only thing that causes these things to increase in value is the fact that the media hype gets people talking about them and gets people investing in them. Right now, Ripple, for instance, is $3.15. A couple of weeks ago, it was less than $2. I bought into it when it was like 99 cents or something like that. So I'm already up on that one too. The only thing about it is when you hear a lot of people talking about it, obviously the hype is there to the point where a lot of people are going to invest in it. But once that hype down, or once the government interventions get there with the regulations, you're going to see these cryptocurrencies decrease in value. Just like right now, Bitcoin has been hovering around 14,000, 15,000. Litecoin hasn't gone up from like 249. It probably will go up eventually. Then you got Ethereum. Ethereum just hit 1,000 and dropped back below, but it might go higher. But the problem is the government intervention right now is trying to tax the hell out of it.
Okay, listen.
One thing you might have to look at is this also. I think you have a very, very valid point. But the most important thing to understand is even though the government may try to intervene, I mean, we got to pay some kind of tax regardless. That's just, how America is. However, let's say you buy Ripple. I bought Ripple and it was 3 cents, per share. And in order to get anything you buy, as far as Ripple, Monero, Ethereum, Litecoin, it still must be transferred back into Bitcoin at the end of the day, because Bitcoin is king over all of the other cryptocurrencies. Now, when you go to Overstock.com, they take Bitcoin. You go to McDonald's, they take Bitcoin. You go to, what's the other sandwich shop called? Subway, they take Bitcoin. Right now, what's the company called? Amazon, they're taking Bitcoin, and they already have the domain names. So is eBay. So if those large markets start to all take Bitcoin, that would automatically buy the price of Bitcoin up, not including the other deals that are out there. So Bitcoin will go back up, and it will be, like right now, one of the biggest things is Bitcoin ATM machines.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off because I know there's not a whole lot of time, but let me just say one thing. You are correct, and that's one of the reasons why I do still trust in Bitcoin, that a lot of these the countries who are trying to start their own cryptocurrencies are going to back their currencies on cryptocurrencies that they know work, like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Litecoin, which are already widely traded. But where I have to interject that I feel that you are not completely correct, the problem is Bitcoin itself does not have any intrinsic value. It's not like gold, it's not like silver, which are precious metals or something. The U.S. dollar is a fiat currency too. The difference is the U.S. dollar is backed by the American military-industrial complex. So Bitcoin itself has no internal value for itself. Bitcoin is valued as dollars. Right now, you can't, like, for instance, you know the stores, like, for instance, a store may accept Bitcoin, but what they're really trying to do is they're trying to sell their products to get your Bitcoin. They're trying to get your Bitcoin so that they can have more Bitcoin for themselves. But the only reason why they're trying to get more Bitcoin is in order to transfer it into U.S. dollars. Because I need you to understand, America, China, these large countries like that, they're not going to allow cryptocurrency to threaten their national currency. China, for instance, does not want you being able to move yuan in large amounts off its shores. They were one of the first countries to put a major strangle on Bitcoin. That's why right now the Chinese market is moving to Ripple and they're moving to other ones. But the value of these things is really only valued by how much U.S. dollars I can get out of it. And that's because the U.S. dollar is still a reserve currency, and it's still at the very basis of all this. And I understand what you're saying, but these countries that are trying to trade using the cryptocurrency, it doesn't matter. There's a bunch of cryptocurrencies starting up. But at the end of the day, the only reason why they're doing it is because they want to value that money in a larger currency that already exists, that even though it's a fiat currency, that has some basis. A lot of people have moved away from gold, and they're moving into cryptocurrencies because they think that they can get rich faster. The thing about it is gold has intrinsic value, and gold will never be worth zero because as a metal, it's important. We build electronics with it, for instance. It doesn't rust. It has intrinsic value. Bitcoin doesn't even exist when the electricity goes out. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Oh, yes. And listen.
We hope that the electricity doesn't go out for the whole world.
John, thank you for calling. Let's go to Rodney. Let's go to Derek in Texas. Hello, Derek in Texas. Thank you for your patience.
Hey, how you doing, Armstrong? I want to say something about the IRS and the crypto. You know, Armstrong, I thought about it. Have you noticed something about how our government operates? Something that they don't control, they do want to put their hands on it. And from what is that the IRS is looking at it as being a taxable event. If say like if you want to buy Bitcoin and you want to purchase an Ethereum coin, then they're saying that those two transactions is going to be taxed. Now think about it, Armstrong. It's very ugly because by doing that, you already took your dollars, converted it into the coins when you bought it. All right, so you paid $20, you got $20 worth of Bitcoin. Okay, that is the Bitcoin now is not even a U.S. tender now. After you done converted it over. Now, you mean to tell me that you're going to tax me because now it's not a U.S. dollar anymore. They are actually coins, digital coins now. So remember, the same thing happened with the Boston Tea Party. They was taxing them on the tea. So what, you finna tax me on my coins now? So what does that make you? Because you're a friend to me, that's making you an enemy to me. But think about that, man. So, I want to hear your guests talk on that.
So, Rodney, what is the answer?
I mean, I think he has a very, very good point. But what can we do right now but try to move around it, find another way? Or is the government going to change? Or are they going to, meet you halfway? Even right now, I was speaking to my accountant, my tax accountant, for the last 2 days, trying to find out all of the pertinent details of my filings to make sure that everything's done properly. I know when I do transfer some of my Bitcoin into cash and put it into the bank to pay some of my bills, I know that will be taxed. But I'm going to figure out how they're going to be able to track every transaction that I have and say that it's taxable. Now that part I do not know.
It's not even an American dollar anymore. That's the thing that gets me. Taxation without representation is tyranny. Thank you, Armstrong.
Thank you, Derek. Let's go, Rodney and Kevin, to Monroe and Maryland. Hello, Monroe. Thank you for calling.
Mr. Armstrong Williams, how you doing? I'm going to try to see if I can help at least answer the last caller before I go to my other things. Bro, what he's talking about is capital gain, if it's American currency or not. Let's say you had a painting, and then all of a sudden that painting you bought for $100, and now you sold it for $1,000. That's capital. It's a real question. Right now, these cryptocurrencies, they're not looked at as securities. They're being looked at as real property. And the real question that I really have, and I've been talking to a couple of tax advisors about it, and nobody seems to have an answer for it yet, is the new form, the 1031 form, going to apply for like-kind exchange? It's like what he's saying. Let's say I did buy some Bitcoin, and then later on I transferred all my capital gains over to Ethereum. You know, I didn't take anything out. That would be a like-kind exchange on real property, and I can defer my taxes. That's one question I have for you before I go for it. I'll let you do that. I don't want to load you up and then not be able to hear your response.
You talking to me or Armstrong?
Oh, Rodney.
Either one of you.
Rodney. No, Rodney.
Based upon what I spoke to my accountant about today, is you telling me that to roll some of this stuff into properties or into IPAs, income producing assets, and once that capital gains is, I think, captured, there's only a certain amount that can be taxed if you still have the property. So, and you're right, not everyone has the answer yet. So we're still waiting for a lot of answers. There's a lot of speculation out there, but that's not going to stop me from keeping on trying to do better for me and save more people and help more of my friends.
Right. All right, next thing. So here's the other thing. If this was a traditional trading house, say like a BNY Mellon or a Price Waterhouse or something like that, at the end of the year, you're going to send me some type of form so I can go ahead and pay my taxes. And also going back to the last caller, yeah, a lot of these people are overseas, whether it's finance in China or Cryptopia or in New Zealand or GateHub in the UK and you know, all those different ones. But if they're not sending me a tax form, why would I snitch on myself about my capital gains?
That's true, too. Also, remember this. Not every Bitcoin wallet is a U.S. Bitcoin wallet. So some of these wallets don't report nothing, period.
Oh, yeah, you're right. A lot of these doggone websites are not American websites. There is a lot to still be learned. There's a lot of learning. This is like basically the first full year, 2017, that it has been brought down to the average person and everybody's starting to invest. Because, yes, can we go all the way back to the dark web? Can we go all the way back to when the millionaires and multimillionaires were doing all their blockchain transactions? Can we talk about all the different terrorist organizations that were doing blockchain transactions? This is not new. It's just that it's new to the masses.
Mm-hmm.
Well, listen.
Very true.
Well, listen, Monroe, thank you for calling and thank you for listening to